Hello, welcome back to Garden Obsessed. My name is Carla, and today we are going to be checking on the Aerogarden. So let me just get you switched around and we'll give an in-depth review here of what we have going on so far. Okay, so I've got the light raised up as high as it will go, just so that we can see what's going on here a little better. So we do still have probably 5 inches or so to still go before we're going to have issues with plants hitting the Aerogarden. But let's just talk about everything we have growing here. So I did try to reseed lettuce one more time, and again it kind of failed. So I think some of my lettuce seed is getting quite old, so I did pick up some new seed just to ensure that this summer I do have some lettuce seed to actually grow in the garden. But I'm giving up on the lettuce in the Aerogarden for now. These other plants have grown quite a bit, and it'll get shaded out anyway, and it is what it is. So no lettuce for this go round, but we do still have 3 things going on here that I think we should talk about. So the first one, closest to the basil here, so we'll talk about this. This basil is looking really good, really nice right now. I did come in and cut the main stalk probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. We should talk about how long things have been in this Aerogarden first though, shouldn't we? So I think this is gonna say 54 days in a second here, which is very nearly 8 weeks. So we are just about 8 weeks, 2 months into this growing situation here. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did cut this basil. At that time, I wanted to encourage branching. So you can see it's branching from the bottom here. There's another one over here, and it's branching in a couple of places going up the stalk. So I gave it a couple nodes to be able to branch from. And it had already started doing that naturally, but this was just to help encourage it further. And some of these, I'm thinking I'm going to cut again soon. So it's shading a lot of, I'm going to turn this around. It's shading out a lot of this tomato plant right now. And it's big enough that we can start using it and eating it. So I do want to start doing that. You'll see at the same time that I pruned this plant, I also pruned back some of the tomato plant just to give some more space. A lot of these dwarf type plants grow really compactly, and it's hard to get at things without breaking branches later on. So I was trying to nip that in the bud before we got that far. When I did that, I exposed a few leaves that had been shaded out that I hadn't noticed were kind of dewy because they were laying right up underneath another leaf, and they did get fried by the light. But new growth is starting to overtake that. I just left them. They're half green, so they're still photosynthesizing and stuff. So I just left them. I need to get at this tomato plant to prune it again. As you can see, it's extremely dense. There are blossoms. It's literally covered in blossoms. And you can see there are quite a few tomatoes starting. These are almost the size of a marble at this point. I think there's more underneath there. I don't know if you can see down, but like there's more in deeper layers that are really hard to get to right now and are going to be even more difficult to get to if I don't prune out some of the extra foliage now. So probably in the next week or so, I am going to do that. Otherwise, this plant is looking pretty spectacular, I think. I'm very happy with this. Is the first time I've grown this one. This is Pinocchio. I've tried growing a few other tomatoes in this Aerogarden before, and none of them, I mean, usually they are quite prolific and have a lot of tomatoes on them, but none of them were this prolific. Like there's just blossoms and tomatoes starting literally everywhere. So every once in a while, I give the plant a little shake just to make sure the flowers are being fertilized. These are tomato plants have perfect flowers, so they self-pollinate. So all you have to do, you know, in the absence of being outdoors with pollinators and things, is give the plant a little flick every now and then so that the pollen will fertilize the flowers and you're good to go. So now on to the more complicated ones. So this is the cannabis plant. I think overall it's growing good. It's definitely growing smaller. I'm pretty sure this is a female plant. We did have another one here that ended up being male. So I called that one. It was the one that grew larger, faster in the front. This one kind of had a rough start, but it's growing well now. It does have some chlorotic looking lower leaves here. A couple of these older, I don't know if you can see that really well because it's being shaded there. Maybe you can see that now. So there's some yellowing, and it looks like a little bit in some of the newer growth as well. So I think probably that's just a nutrient issue, and I think the issue is probably that, you know, this reservoir, I'm having to refill it probably every 3 days at this point. And the regular fertilizer schedule, I'm just using what comes with Aerogarden, which is a liquid Miracle-Gro product. It does have magnesium sulfate in it because I think that's what this deficiency looks like. But I think it's just not enough fertilizer being added. So the regular schedule is 2 capfuls every 2 weeks. So I have started supplementing it with 1 more capful in the off week. So it's 7 days until it gets 2 capfuls. So I gave it 1 capful today along with about 500 milliliters of water to fill up the reservoir. So there's a little, sorry, having a hard time focusing here today, but this, I'll move that leaf in a second for you. There is a little plastic piece here that you fill the water to. Hopefully you can see that. And literally I'm having to give it half a liter of water. I mean, the whole thing only holds like probably 1 liter. So it is using up vast amounts of water. And I think just there's not enough nutrients. The basil and the tomatoes seem to be doing fine. So we'll see if that helps. So that is where we are at 8 weeks. I think probably it will be, I don't know, maybe not quite a month before we start getting ripening. You can see a bunch of tomatoes there. A bunch of ripening tomatoes. The basil we can harvest anytime now. And this I really have no idea because I've never grown a dwarf plant before, and I've never grown one all the way to flower in an Aerogarden either. So this one we'll just have to wait and see. But you know, basil's edible now. I think we're about a month away from ripe tomatoes, and I will keep giving you guys updates. I thank you for watching. I hope you come back. We will see you next time.